Addison Mayfair rose before dawn each day to tend to the rows of peach and pear trees that stretched across her family's orchard on the outskirts of Peachblossom Court. She loved the way the morning light cast gentle shadows among the trees, how the birdsong seemed to greet the sun. Folks in town often said Addison's orchard was a fixture of their community, a place where neighbours gathered for fresh fruit and a bit of friendly gossip. Despite the orchard's peaceful veneer, Addison had heard whispers of rivalries and hidden agendas in local politics. There was an undercurrent that occasionally surfaced in mild disagreements at council meetings. Still, she never imagined she would stumble upon a secret so startling that it threatened to upend the very harmony she cherished. Yet one bright morning, she found a hollowed-out peach stuffed with papers that hinted at a shadowy conspiracy lurking behind Peachblossom Court's polite smiles. She discovered the bizarre fruit while preparing her harvest for the weekly market. At first, she noticed its smooth skin felt unnaturally firm. When she pressed a thumb against it, a faint crunch suggested something inside besides juicy peach flesh. Carefully peeling back the fruit's exterior, Addison's heart began hammering. Crammed within was a wad of parchment, yellowed, brittle, and covered in cramped, scribbled writing. Bits of peach pulp clung to the edges, but most of the text was legible. She glimpsed phrases like mayoral seat, diverted funds, and land acquisitions, as well as a half-smudged signature, J.W. Sure. Her mind swam with questions. Who would sneak coded notes into her orchard? And why hide them in a peach? Suspecting politics at play, Addison decided she had to find answers. The papers were clearly valuable, or at least dangerous, and she felt a pang of unease knowing they'd surfaced in her own backyard. Her immediate instinct was to protect what she'd uncovered. She wrapped the documents in a clean cloth and secured them in an old metal box in the barn, a place she rarely let anyone see. Then she hopped into her rickety truck to make her deliveries, forcing herself to act normal. At the peach stand behind the bakery, Hannah the baker cheerily asked about the upcoming peach festival. News had already spread that Mayor Leonard Clifton planned to unveil fresh improvements in the town square if re-elected. Addison made small talk, but inwardly her thoughts spun. She had heard rumors that Mayor Clifton's leadership wasn't as clean as his speeches suggested, and the mention of mayoral seat in those documents ignited her suspicion. That afternoon she confided in Marianne Lint, the town librarian, whose intellect and knack for code-breaking were practically legendary. Marianne welcomed Addison into a private corner of the library, away from curious eyes. She carefully examined each parchment scrap, noting the strange loops and abbreviated notations that appeared to be a cipher. "This style of writing," she murmured, "reminds me of political codes I've seen in old council archives from decades past." She pointed to the partially smudged signature, repeating the letters under her breath. J.W. Shea. Could be John or James or Joseph, Winston, Shea. Sure. The possibilities seemed endless, yet one portion of text, diverted funds for expansion before festival, already spelled trouble. If someone was funneling town money into questionable projects, it could upend life in Peachblossom Court. Marianne agreed to work on decoding the notes in detail. Meanwhile, Addison decided to look for any matching names in official records, especially those tied to the city council or real estate developers pushing for new zoning. The first clue arrived unexpectedly from the local printing press, Oakwood and Sons. Addison visited under the pretense of ordering new labels for her fruit jars. She casually asked Henry Oakwood about the shield-shaped watermark she'd spotted on the documents. Lucy, Henry's daughter, explained that the press only used that watermark for official town materials, like announcements, ballots, or council proposals. This revelation confirmed the pages had a direct connection to local government. Someone with authority had commissioned them. Henry then recalled a man named John Winston Shale requesting custom letterheads a month prior. The name jolted Addison's memory. She'd heard rumors about a real estate developer named Shale, who wanted to buy farmland for a commercial centre. Though she knew little else, it was enough to suspect he might be the elusive J.W. Shale, tangled in the suspicious notes about diverted municipal funds. Determined to learn more, Addison visited Town Hall under the guise of researching property expansions for her orchard. Muriel, the chatty receptionist, was happy to dish on Shale. According to her, he'd been courting the mayor's favour to secure rezoning measures. "I seen him and Mayor Clifton having lunch at the Marigold Bistro more than once," Muriel confided. Addison swallowed her unease, imagining the orchard replaced by a noisy shopping centre if Shale got his way. She thought of the documents referencing land acquisitions and how that might coincide with rezoning farmland. Worse yet, if town funds had already been diverted, it suggested some form of bribery or backroom deal. The very idea of such corruption in her quaint Peachblossom Court rattled her, but she understood she couldn't expose it without bulletproof evidence. Returning home, Addison consulted again with Marianne, who had made progress deciphering the specialized code. A few lines read, "Funds allocated for festival stage to be redirected," and "Orchard owners must remain unaware until final announcement." Addison's breath caught. She owned the biggest orchard in the region, so this line felt personal. The orchard might become a centerpiece in Shale's marketing pitch, or worse, a sacrificial lamb to prove development. Their timeline was also alarmingly short. Everything pointed to final approvals happening before the town's Peach Festival, mere days away. Addison realized she needed help if she was going to reveal the conspiracy in time. Reluctantly, she told her orchard hand, Toby, bits of the story. Loyal and protective, Toby vowed to keep watch for any strangers snooping around the property. One evening, Addison heard from Hannah that the mayor and Shale would be attending a select dinner party hosted at Clifton's home. Seizing the chance to gather more direct evidence, Addison and Marianne, hearts thumping, snuck into the mayor's garden. It was a warm, moonlit night. They crept behind hedgerows, faintly hearing laughter and clinking glasses from the open window. Crouching low, Marianne used her phone to capture an audio recording when she heard Shale's smooth voice mention deals and orchard expansions. Mayor Clifton replied that he planned to unveil the big plan at the festival if all went well, making sure Addison herself was on board, or at least not an obstacle. Every word made Addison's blood boil. It was clear they intended to manipulate the festival's positive energy to push through rezoning under the guise of town improvements. Marianne cemented her grip on her phone, ensuring every whispered plot was recorded. They spent a tense night replaying the recording at Marianne's cottage. Though some parts were muffled, enough was audible to confirm a conspiracy. References to skimming festival funds, manipulating orchard owners and keeping the public in the dark. Marianne's eyes flashed with anger. This was about more than Addison's orchard alone. It was about safeguarding the community and upholding integrity. They decided to share their findings with B. Ridley, editor of the Peachblossom Gazette, known for her dogged pursuit of truth. B. listened intently, made copious notes, and vowed to wait until Addison gave the signal to break the story. She wanted to ensure all evidence was in order before risking a confrontation with powerful figures. The next step was to inform a few honest council members. Addison arranged a secret meeting in her barn, inviting Councilwoman Preston and 2 colleagues she believed were above reproach. She showed them the Hollow Peach documents, Marianne's partial decodings, and that damning audio clip. The council members sat in stunned silence. Preston ran a trembling hand over her brow. "I knew Clifton was pushing boundaries, but this is beyond what I imagined," the councilwoman said, voice tight. They agreed to call for an official inquiry prior to the festival. If the mayor or chalet tried to hide evidence, at least they'd be under scrutiny. Addison went to bed that night knowing their quiet orchard town was about to face its biggest scandal in decades. Yet she felt a resolve she'd never known before, determined to protect her land and bring the truth to light. As the Peach Festival's opening day arrived, bright pennants and festive music filled the town square. Vendors arranged stalls packed with homemade pies, jams, and crafts. Normally, Addison would have been excited. She always had the best spot for her fruit stand, with locals lining up early for fresh peaches. But her stomach churned with anxiety. She spotted Mayor Clifton weaving through the crowd, a polite smile plastered on his face. Not far behind was Shale, eyeing the orchard goods with a glossy interest that made Addison's skin crawl. They looked confident, as though expecting a well-orchestrated victory once the mayor delivered his speech. Little did they know that B. Ridley's press article was ready to go live at any moment, and that the council members had placed them under immediate investigation. When the mayor finally took the stage, he cleared his throat. The crowd clapped politely, some noticing tension on his face. After barely 2 minutes of pleasantries, Councilwoman Preston stepped forward, mic in hand, and announced that certain allegations of financial misconduct required urgent attention. The mayor's smile faltered. Shale, standing at the edge of the crowd, stiffened visibly. Murmurs rippled through the festival as Preston explained that new evidence suggested funds allegedly allocated to community projects might have been diverted for private gain. She stopped short of naming names, but it was obvious whom she referred to, especially when the crowd parted to reveal Shale's stunned expression. Addison, her heart pounding, silently thanked Preston for her measured calm. Within minutes, a swirl of confusion and alarm took over the festival atmosphere. That very afternoon, the Peachblossom Gazette's special edition hit the stands, detailing the mystery of the hollowed-out peach, the incriminating documents, and partial transcripts of the dinner party recording. By evening, townspeople buzzed with outrage and bewilderment. Some cornered Clifton, demanding answers, while Shale tried to slip away unnoticed. Council officials insisted both men remain for questioning. Though far from a triumphant atmosphere, Addison felt a swell of vindication. She knew her orchard and the wider farmland was at least temporarily safe from rezoning while the investigation took place. The real star of the festival became not the mayor's speech or the new stage, but the collective will of the citizens determined to protect their town. In the days that followed, evidence mounted. Financial records confirmed irregularities, and further decoding of the hollow peach notes revealed direct links between the mayor's office and Shale's development schemes. Shale had planned to buy farmland at a fraction of its worth, funneling municipal funds to sweeten the deals. Public hearings exposed the depth of the betrayal to a stunned and furious population. Forced to resign amid the furor, Mayor Clifton faced potential charges of corruption alongside Shale. Freed from the threat of shady rezoning, Addison's orchard survived the scandal intact. The conspirators' downfall served as a rallying cry for Peachblossom Court, a reminder that a tight-knit town could stand up to wrongdoing when armed with truth and resolve. Weeks later, with the orchard's trees bowing under the weight of ripened fruit, Addison reflected on the strange turn of events. The memory of discovering that single hollow peach still sent a thrill through her, equal parts dread and gratitude. It amazed her that one piece of fruit could hold the power to expose a conspiracy. Pausing at the edge of her orchard, she felt a soft breeze lift the hair from her face. Marianne, Toby, and many of her neighbors had rallied together to ensure her land and the town remained protected. While the aftermath of the scandal would reverberate for some time, life in Peachblossom Court carried on with renewed vigilance. Addison could already see fresh hope in her neighbors' eyes. If anything, the orchard now symbolized unity rather than vulnerability. Each season's crop represented a promise that no secret, no matter how carefully hidden, could outlast the steadfast spirit of those bound together by community, honesty, and a love of the land.